My name is Nikhil Kulkarni, and I am in charge of Solidworks drawings, MBD, inspection, and draft site. I've been with Solidworks for a while now, about 2 decades in multiple locations, but I've been managing the team since 2010. So today, I'm going to show you a few slides about SolidWorks MBD. I'm going to focus on things that are specific to an MBD, our product, where we use some custom stuff with the help of TechSoft's team to get this implemented. So moving forward, SolidWorks MBD, it started in 2016. We had the first release in 2016. The SolidWorks MBD sits on SolidWorks, so you cannot use it without SolidWorks, of course. There are two parts to MBD. One is, of course, authoring the model, where you put all your PMIs into the model itself using our engine, which is called DIM Expert. Then the second part of it is where TechSoft comes into picture, where we export it. All the authored data is then put out for consumption in the form of 3D PDF or Step 242. So to be able to do this, what we have is custom templates. So we let users or customers or companies have their own templates, where you think of it like a title block in a drawing sheet. So we allow to do that. Part of MBD authoring tool is, under that license, you're able to not only author the models, but also create views out of it, which is called as 3D views. And I'll show them when I make a demo. The third thing that I will show is the custom JavaScripts that we used to achieve some interactions in the PDF document itself. One of them is play-in views. And that's a huge API, but it's assigning a JavaScript to a particular button in the view carousel to play it over and over. And it was interesting. The application for this is the user made views of the assembly instructions. So he had views of those exploded views, and by playing it, you actually get to see, feel in person as if it was real, to see how those parts come together. It was interesting to see how people use this. Projected views. So this is a concept, obviously, in drawings. As companies transition from drawings to MBD, I think aspects of drawings are going to stick with us. One of them is projected views. So there is a main view in the view carousel, and you can have right, left, top, bottom, whatever view with respect to the main view. So this was achieved again through custom JavaScript in the viewport. Support SolidWorks tables. Now this one is using the custom templates. You can support tables that SolidWorks supports in 3D, which is right now general tables or BOM tables. Leverage new data structure, and some of you might identify that structure A, 3D PDF data table, 3D views. I say new because it was not there when we started in 2016. It's not new anymore. It's been, I think, 3 or 4 years at least. What we achieved is show custom configuration specific data as tied to 3D views and BOM tables. And I'll show what I mean by that, and I'll reference that in the custom template. So we have to set up the templates in such a way to achieve all this. And I'm going to give a brief demo about it. And the last thing that I think was mentioned in the first hour was HTML output. And I will also talk about why we decided to do this and show them in actual usage. So this is a brief overview. We take the SolidWorks CAD data, right? That is where our application data is. And the initial setup was written by engineers with the help of engineers from TechSoft. We, of course, put it into PRC model, and with one API from Hoops Publish, with the help of the inputs from the SolidWorks template editor, which is our own custom created, which I'm going to show, we create a 3D PDF. With the same model, we can actually say, okay, we use Hoops Exchange and export it to Step 242. So it's very very easy for us to either spit out a 3D PDF or step to 42 once the initial work is done. This is a view of a template editor, which is our custom application that runs within SolidWorks. It's no big deal. I mean, you can see the logo, you can create a view carousel at the bottom, the main viewport, which is shown with a big gear. And then there are obviously areas in the template where you can put your company logo, the part numbers, assign custom properties, just like you would do in a drawing. So this is a part of presentation. I'm now going to switch quickly to show you this in action, and I'm going to talk about it. So this is what the template editor looks like. This is actually, I'm going to play video, but I'm going to pause in between to actually show stuff and talk about it. So this is a custom template editor, and you can see I'm going to first show projected views. What this shows is selecting a area in the template editor and saying that it is a config specific. What I mean by that is, if you're aware of SolidWorks, so we can create versions of a same model with bigger arm, change dimensions, for example, a longer boss or a hole or a part without the hole in two different configurations. So you can, just like materials, weight can change between these configurations. So to be able to do this, we have this setup on the templates where you're saying that I want custom specific years, or just pull it from the documents. So then again, weight is also similar to checking the config specific. So you want it to update if it updates in the model. And here is where we just simply put a placeholders of, say, projected view, right? And then we assign the JavaScript to the artwork and say whatever is in the orientation of a primary view, just put a right or a top. In this case, you can switch what type you want. And I think in the demo, you can see there is one top view and then there is a right view. So this is just simply something XML based. We just save it to the disk when we, in terms of templates, and then read it when our PRC model is ready to sort of set up the pages in 3D PDF. Now, what you see here at the bottom are the 3D views that I was talking about. So you can author, the dimensions you see are BIM expert, they are smart. They actually talk about manufacturability of it. You can automatically generate these tolerances, and then you can create different views where version 2 is actually a different configuration than the first 7-8 views that you see. So now you just simply publish, select the views you want one by one. You can actually preview the custom property fields that are there in the templates versus whatever have the values in that particular model. So a model might have date, but not designed by, so that will be empty. And even once you save it, simply push a button and save it over. You can see the PDF is generated, 3D PDF is generated. Now this is viewports, projected viewports in action using custom JavaScript. So as you can see, I click through. When it's clicked through, it updates the main viewport on the left, and it also updates on the right. And this is where the play button, I was talking about, the custom JavaScript, where you can actually switch between, play it in loop. So it's kind of a carousel that keeps rotating, and you will see the right views, the projected views being updated, just like you would in a drawing, except in this it becomes live. You can see it actually changing. And then, so we have two JavaScripts in action here, like I mentioned on that slide. Yeah, so it switched the configuration. Version 2 is a different configuration. Moving on to the next one is a custom configuration specific custom properties. This is where if you watch the mass on the upper corner, it updates from 100 to And this is achieved by using that data structures I was mentioning, and then binding it to the view controls that we have. For example, I have a set of views. I bind it to the view carousel, which is the UI element. I set up the custom properties as a data table and bind it with the views. So you can have these multiple bindings and achieve this nice thing where you can update things like part number, mass, maybe materials too, and revision of different views that you create. And the views could be from the one configuration or they could be multiple. That's where the SolidWorks MBD allows you to set up those views as unique. It's just not the orientation, it actually captures the configurations also, which allows you to sort of say, okay, in this configuration, maybe I have a larger mass, and you see that in action live on the document. So this is where we create HTML. Now, all it takes is just check that box and give our PDF to the engine, which is based on Hoops Communicator and part of Publish, actually. And why do we had to do this? So the big companies especially are use PDFs as an archiving method, but they do not necessarily want to share it with their suppliers by shipping them or by sending an email. So the idea was that they will host a version, the exact version of 3D PDF into their own system and just share the link with it, and they can control who gets access to what documents. So you can see that when you create this, it creates a monolith HTML file, which you can just host it. And we decided to go monolith because we didn't have the use case yet or the demand for not having it monolith. And it was easier to do as a first version. So I'll simply click it and say, okay, you create the PDF, obviously, for sure, but it also creates, without actually giving any message right now, that there is a HTML also. And if you open that HTML in any of the browsers, double click on it, it's a self-contained HTML, and it looks really exactly like a 3D PDF. So some suppliers could get access to this rather than the physical PDF document. And it works. I mean, that's where the part of Hoops TechSoft's effort went into making this more robust over a period of time. We started using it when it was first out, and then over a year, it has become really stable. This is another sort of nice thing that we wanted to. This happens in SolidWorks drawing, so I think it also made sense to have it cross highlighting when you click on bombs. Again, due to the data structure that I just talked about in my slide. As you click through the table, so this is where the binding to the table UI element has happened. This was in a nutshell. I mean, there is a lot to talk about, but I thought this was some custom stuff that would be interesting to talk about. That's all I have.
Yeah, thank you, Nikhil. That was fantastic. And thanks to all of our VIP presenters. If you have questions, please put them there in the chat. We'll try to get to them. Yeah, an interesting point about HTML versus PDF use cases that was put in our chat. Yeah, I absolutely agree. One for archival, one for just maintaining, easily maintaining the most recent version.
Yes. So, I mean, there are, again, this use case came from a big customer who has very large number of, say, suppliers, and they don't want to, I mean, I can't actually know the exact use case, but it seems obvious that some customers might want to have access to some parts of their models, but not physically. They just can go into the URL, interact, and and then request whatever. And PDF allows us to create these lightweight ones where you can remove the BREP just for securities purpose. So you can add a security to it. I didn't actually, like I said, I didn't show all the features of MBD because some of them are actually known. I thought the custom stuff was a lot cooler. I mean, many of you are using published, so you know most of the capabilities. It would be preaching to the choir. So I thought I'll just pick the custom ones here.